Good evening. Thank you for joining us here on The Late Show. My wife and I, Lesley, will be sharing some very interesting things with you tonight, and we do hope that your heart will be touched and you'll be motivated to follow God whenever He calls on you, because the things that He does are just amazing if we're obedient and have the courage to follow Him and not ourselves. Life stories. This is something that I've been doing now for over a year. And right now, we've got the life stories with regards to our time spent in Romania. And Lesley, what do you think about this? We're going to be going through a lot of the clips that we've been doing, and I've actually taken me 3 months to do this next section because it's very powerful. We've got 30 hours of video, and you've lived with me through all this in preparation.
Well, it's taken 34 years to put this together. Our daughter Rebecca has just turned 34, and I've really enjoyed standing over Howard's shoulder watching him put all this footage together. It's brought back amazing memories for me, and also really just emphasised to me the goodness of God. Even though it was such a struggle at times, God was always there, and He saw us through the highs and the lows.
Yes, and Rebecca is our daughter of 34 years age, and it is a long story, but we're going to get straight to the point. We're going to jump ahead and go to the time that we actually went to the hospital to take her out of the maternity ward in what was called the abandoned babies ward. So have a look at this, and we'll be coming back to you throughout the program. Here comes the big day. After all these months of waiting to get Rebecca, we get the go-ahead. It's going to be today. Thank you.
Today's the day that we go and get her after 4 months of, don't know how to describe it, and after 2 months of visiting every single day almost to this hospital. Today's the day. Are you excited to get Rebecca out?
Yes.
Are we going home? Yes. Yes, you will.
Rebecca. Hello, Rebecca. Hello. Very, very lovely. Hello, Rebecca.
Say bye-bye.
Ja, kom maar.
It's the first time you've ever been outside, isn't it? Eh? What do you think about it? You're not screaming, are you? Think it's nice out here? A bit bright? This is Romania. Yes. We're going home now. Come on.
Tell us how you feel.
Great. Excited. Incredible.
So what would you say to people who say you mustn't adopt Romanian babies?
Yeah, that's right. It's difficult, but it's worth it. It's worth every single day of it. But it's really difficult. But here's the end result.
Pânzio-ți-le, pânzio-ți-le. Face că frumoasă tu. Da.
La revedere! La revedere! Mulțumim!
La revedere!
Mulțumim!
Pe alul 29 și 20, parcă am înțeles, așa.
Dorește pâine, mai este pâine jos în față la recepție. Dorește adunat în mașină 2 bucăți.
Like going fishing.
At least we got the baby. I tell you, she's 4 months been in the maternity hospital. I saw her for 1 hour each day, and the other 23 hours she lay in her bed. They never, ever, ever got her out her bed for 4 months, Carol. I'll call you most definitely, I sure will. And, oh, thanks, Carol. Anyway, it's only less than 3 hours to get home. That's going to be nice anyway. See you guys soon. Bye. Yeah, bye. Hello. Carol and Bill calling from Florida to see how we were. They said it's been in the 70s and 80s all winter. I didn't even want to hear. Can't wait to see us. She's tired. Look at that glazed look.
So I guess that was where it ended, where after all those months we managed to get Rebecca home and into our family. But thank God that Howard had the idea to film the whole thing, And the beginning was, it's quite fun to watch actually. We were very, very unconventional. I suppose we still are unconventional, but it was a very, very unconventional way to travel. And, you know, we took our two little boys with us who were only aged, so something like 3.5 and 5 or something.
That's right.
But let's take you back now to the very beginning.
Thank you for joining us on this particular life story. I do need the help of my dear wife because we went together. She's laughing already.
You've never invited me to your life stories before.
I know. Well, this is the first time, Lesley, and we're going to be talking about the time that we went to Romania. Yes, that was in 1989, 90. And it was a very difficult time because Ceausescu, who was a bit of a tyrant, to say the least, was the one who had held his people in a way that made Christianity outlawed in that country at that time. And being pretty communist, Lesley, it was something which, the church had to be underground. Christian church, and pastors were persecuted, put in jail. It was a very difficult time. Let me start by telling a little bit of the background, which is where I was back in Tampa, Florida. Lesley was in the United Kingdom, and I thought I was going to be joining Mercy Ships very soon, and so was Lesley. She'd gone back to see her mum, because we were both living in Tampa, Florida at the time. And all of a sudden, I got a phone call, and it was a Sunday afternoon. Lesley, as I say, was in the UK. I got this phone call, and in those days, you didn't get many phone calls. You know, let me tell you, 30 years ago.
No mobile phones in those days.
No mobile phones, and to get a call was quite unusual. What happened is this particular caller turned out to be a ministry called Harvest International. They were somewhere in America, I don't know where, I still don't know where they came from, but suddenly they were calling me and saying, we heard that you're a cameraman and we'd like you to come with us to Eastern Europe, to Romania. And I said, well, hang on a sec, that's very kind of you to ask me. I'm not really much of a cameraman, I wasn't at that time anyway. I don't think I'm much better today, to be honest. So I said, no, we're going to be joining Mercy Ships in
Because we were
Tyler,
almost
Texas.
packing up to go. I mean, our little boys were aged 4 and 5, and you know, I was buying them their cowboy boots and cowboy hats, and we were going to have a life living in the USA.
Yeah.
And it was all mapped out, as far as I was concerned.
It's going to be in Texas. I think it was Tyler, Texas. But those boots that the boys were wearing were just spot on for being a part of, you know, the
Texan lifestyle.
The Texan lifestyle, yes. But Mercy Ships was the organisation that we were going to be working in the media centre. Anyway, so having had this phone call and just disregarded it, about 3 hours later, I was going to go and join Jenny and Bill Grine, who were very famous at that time because she was a singer and Bill was the manager, and she had a pretty big hit which she'd recorded with us. But anyway, the thing is, she said, why don't you come and we'll go out to dinner tonight, but we'll come to my church, or the church she goes to. That was the other side of Tampa, Florida. And I said, well, okay, but I don't want to come into your service, because at that particular time, no matter what church I went in, everybody had a word for me. It was as if, you know, God was speaking to everybody about except me, about what I was and Lesley were going to be doing in the future. And I got a little bit tired of it. So I said, Jenny, I'll tell you what time does the church service finish? She said 6 o'clock. I said, I would be there at the door waiting to meet you. And that's what happened. So 6 o'clock came, I made sure I was there, Lesley, and I was looking at the people coming out, looking through the doorway, saying it's safe to go in. So I went in, and this man said to me, he looked at me rather strange, and I thought it was because I was dressed in jeans. And you don't dress in jeans when you go to church in America, particularly. You look like, you know, you're just going to a wedding or something.
Your Sunday best.
Your Sunday best, exactly. Anyway, this stranger said to me, when he looked at me, he said, do you mind if I pray with you? I said, a little bit rudely, I said, if you have to. And I said, okay. And then he prayed for me and he said, you had a phone call this afternoon to go to Eastern Europe, right? I said, yes. How did you know? He said, God wants you to go. And I said, well, the power of the Holy Spirit just came over me, Lesley, and I just was trying to pull myself together, but I said, I'll go. And that's what happened to change the whole of things. But what was funny, Lesley, was Jenny Grind said to me, and Bill, you're not going, Howard, are you? And I said, you bet I'm going. Doesn't matter, it was what, 7,000 miles away from where we were, or where I was at that time. Anyway, so all of that to say was the beginning of doing something that changed our life forever, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I mean, I can remember when you phoned me and said, how do you feel about not going to Texas? And I kind of felt very torn anyway, because I was back in the UK and I had all my family, and our little boys liked being in the UK and such things. And I kind of I didn't really think any further than the fact of, oh, maybe I'm going to settle in the UK. Howard's going to go off to Eastern Europe. That's absolutely fine. You know, let him go and do his little trip. I'll just stay here. And that's really sort of was the very beginning of it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So what happened, or what was happening as well, when I eventually went and joined them. I can't remember how I got there, because Harvest International were coming from the States. I was then coming from the United Kingdom. But anyway, we met in a place called Arad, because what the Harvest International were going to do is preach on the streets and preach in these big tent meetings that they held. And Arad was one of the places, and the other place was Timișoara. Now, imagine the scene. Nobody had preached in these streets, particularly in Timișoara, where Ceausescu had his army, his tanks, everything, firing into people's front rooms in this particular square that was very famous in Timișoara. So he was killing his own people because there was a revolution. That was the thing. People had got so fed up with Ceausescu and living under his dictatorship, which was cruel and they were very selfish. There was the elite, which were well heeled and looked after financially, and there was the poor. What about the poverty there? When you eventually turned up, what did you see, Lesley?
Oh, the poverty was absolutely tremendous. I mean, when I went, I sort of took, you know, a few pairs of shoes for both of our boys each. You know, I thought, oh, they might need this, they might need that. And I think I'd only been in there a day. We'd given most of their clothes and shoes away, because these children, they almost seem like street children. I don't know, I presume they had homes, but they just seemed to have absolutely nothing. Bare feet, tiny, thin and such things. And a real poverty amongst the people, but also a real oppression, because although Ceausescu had been killed, and people were very gradually starting to realise that they had a freedom that they'd never ever had, it still was very much the sort of fact everybody walked with their heads down. They didn't look at each other to the left or the right. People were still quite scared and very, very cautious, because that's how they had lived for all of their lives.
Yeah. Well, we're jumping ahead a bit, but let me just bring you back to the time when I'd gone on my own, and what I saw was, for the first time in a generation, was the people on their knees, hearing the gospel message from Harvest International and their speakers. And the pastor, he was so lovely. He was perfect for this. He had such a heart for people. But here, as you'll see, that the people were on their knees, crying as well, weeping, giving their life to the Lord, hearing the gospel message for the first time ever, probably for that generation.
Sure.
You know? So the other great thing for me was witnessing what we saw in the way the tent meetings were going. Now we can actually jump a little bit ahead in time. I came back from Romania telling you all of this, showing you the videos, and that's when you decided to come with me, and we decided to do something a bit unusual.
But the thing is, I'd also started to see it on the news. Every time you turn the news on, the news cameras had gone into the orphanages. And the orphanage was absolutely overflowing with babies, with children, with teenagers who were kind of like almost caged, children who just did nothing but rock backwards and forwards. And, you know, and I thought, wow, I don't need to go to Texas. I could quite live here and I could work with all these babies and these little children. I was really excited.
Right up your street, that was.
Yeah, I thought, that's it, you know, I'm going to go.
Oh, don't cry. Oh, yeah.
Having been in Romania myself with Harvest International, when the Lord had actually spoken so clearly that I should go, when that was all over, I came back from Romania, again with lots of footage, being a cameraman, and also you seeing the state of how the children were living in these orphanages and the abandoned babies, etc., etc. You and I decided that we would do something rather bizarre, and we would go there, but we'd make some sort of camper van so that the four of us, the two boys and you and I, could actually travel to Romania, take some goods with us, some helps, as we called it, aid. But we thought, okay, I went to an auction, bought this old van with the very little money that we had, and it was an old post office van, I believe. It's as ugly as sin. And we were helped by Jeremy, our brother-in-law.
No swing.
No sweat.
Hopefully put the bunk beds for the boys up there.
Couple of hours.
And we converted it into something like a caravan, but it was the ugliest looking thing you've ever seen.
Well, I can remember that we put in a kitchen, and we had like a porter toilet. We made beds. We had a table, like a dining table, which served as the boys' schoolroom. That then we would actually be able to put a mattress that folded down on top of the table. That would be our bed at night. The boys slept way up in what we call the bunk beds, but during the day, these bunk beds were actually packed with black sacks, full of black sacks, with all of the aid that we were taking to Romania. We'd have to pull it down so that the boys could get up there at night to sleep. But we thought it was fantastic, didn't we?
Yeah. I think with a little bit of hindsight, we shouldn't have put such solid furniture in there because it added tremendous weight to the van. Yeah. Which made it obviously more costly and slower to travel all the way to Romania from the UK, which is a long way. We even put wardrobe
in there, didn't we?
We did, yeah. I mean, it was amazing, really, inside. It was perfect sort of camper van, but outside, it was as ugly as sin, as I said. You'd never see anything like it. It was like something on steroids as a camper van, not your usual VW camper van, which were very popular in those days. But it's very practical for us.
Then we decided that we needed to fill it, not just with ourselves, but with aid for Romania. We couldn't go empty-handed.
We've got about 60 baby grows. Look at those. For when the babies are jumping around in their cots.
So we started to collect from friends, family, church. We started to buy things. I mean, every single thing from soft toys to children's shoes, anything we could get. We had that van. It was stuffed from top to toe, and there were our little boys sitting. I mean, when you think about it, in those days where, you know, today you have seat belts and such things, they're just sitting in the back of the van playing with their little Ninja Turtles and things, and running round as well.
But they were playing music and they were listening to it. You had them doing the homework, so they were quite well
busy,
doing that. But here we going from this Thames Ditton in Surrey,
yes,
getting a ferry across to, I suppose, to France. We didn't even think about the fact that we could have broken down.
I know.
You know, I mean, well, I remember the next door neighbour saying to us...
She said it won't even get up the hill.
Yeah.
It was up the hill. We said we're going to Romania in it. We went through so many countries. I can remember going through France, went through Germany, went through Austria, Hungary, into Romania.
Yeah. So
it's a long time it took.
It was, it did. But you were so brave. You were driving as well.
Yeah,
and I was doing a little bit of filming about what was going on from the back of the van.
Yeah.
You were preparing all the clothes and everything, and I've got that on video. Have a look at this.
These baby clothes and baby toys and blankets and baby food and bottles and things have been donated mainly from our family and people from Isha Green Baptist Church. And we're about to load our van up and take it all to Romania. We've got hundreds and hundreds of items, lots of things, haven't we? Where are we going?
Romania.
To Romania, that's right.
Well, the next part is that we have to leave Mum, Auntie Mary, and your sister Jane, and Jeremy as well. And we were driving off, and God knows how we were going to get there. And we're off. Bye, you guys. Bye. Bye. Take care. Beautiful.
Can't join me. I was just about to partake of dinner.
We've only got time to show certain segments of this particular life story series tonight, but I just want to say that we joined Harvest International within a couple of days, and they were holding the tent meetings, and it was amazing really how we were to live very meagerly and very simply, but we reached thousands of people in the times we were there. But just talking about Harvest International, amazing organisation. I'm glad God connected us with them. But, you know, what was the results of what they were preaching on the streets? Well, if you saw just how many people were baptized, I turned up this one day and there must have been 100 or 200 people, Lesley, that were actually, you know, supporting their family members or friends who were turning up at this very large river in just outside of Arad. And a beautiful day, as you can see, as well, a sunny day. But you know, when you see the amount of people that gave their lives to the Lord that day, it was so encouraging. As it says, go into all the world, make disciples in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, and get them baptized.
Yeah, absolutely. incredible, but really emotional as well, because these people, it was their very first opportunity in their lifetime to hear the gospel, and they literally heard the gospel, gave their lives to the Lord, and got baptized. You know, when you think some of us, we take years and years and years, you know, we're seeking the Lord, when is the best time? But this all happened in such a short space of time. And I just thank God that we were able to be there. You know how, just really quickly, you know, it says God uses the foolish of this world. And we really were. I mean, looking back, you know, going all that way in that rickety old van with 2 preschoolers, I'm not sure I wouldn't do it today.
I don't think we even had a spare tyre, to be honest, or anything.
We probably couldn't afford a spare tyre. I don't think I could do it today.
Yeah.
It was foolishness, but I think naivety played a very big part.
But we trusted in the Lord. He said we would do it, and we did.
We trusted in each other.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know about that. But one of the things that really got me was when I first went to an orphanage, a very large orphanage, 450 children there. But this lady called Nan, if anybody knows how to contact, I know Nan's passed away, but anyone who knows Nan's family or whatever, we're going to be showing this where Nan actually, at that age, you're never too old to do the work of the Lord. Have a watch of this as we went to this orphanage in Anau. Now, this part of the story is when I met this elderly lady. She was amazing. She was from Scotland, and her 2 drivers, one of the drivers' name I can remember was Brian. But we, that's myself and the 2 drivers and Nan, we met, where was it, Lesley? It was just by the M25?
Yes, it was. It was by the M25, yes. I remember dropping you off.
And this would have been around about 1990?
Well, yes, 1990 it would have been. Yeah, 1990. And I can remember dropping you off, and there was this big double-decker bus, and it was absolutely full with bags and bags and bags of aid to go to Romania, and you were going to travel to Romania with them on that double-decker bus.
It's like a London double-decker bus.
That's exactly what it was, yeah.
And but the thing is that it got there and back, and I think they did many trips with that. It was incredible. They would have it all full of clothes, medical supplies for the hospitals, and also incubators and things like that.
And they also lived on that bus as well.
They slept on it, yeah.
And Nan used to, there was cooking facilities, and she used to do a fry-up and things for breakfast on that bus, and it would be literally parked in sort of wasteland in Romania, I remember. I remember going up to it, and there she was, cooking toast and eggs.
But before you even get there, I can remember the journey when she was trying to make us food. The bus is going along and going from side to side, and then she was trying to coordinate, you know, her stance and making sure she's not going to fall over. At the same time, she's cooking for us. Well, have a look at this.
We've got the Romanians upstairs, and they're coming to Anau with us, and they didn't have anything to eat before they left, so I'm just going to make some sandwiches.
Nan was an amazing person. She had such love and compassion for those who were disadvantaged, and always wanted to meet their needs. We had our own sleeping accommodation on this particular bus. Such a pleasure as well to be in good company with Nan and the drivers. Eventually we reach our destination. Having arrived in Romania a few days earlier, this was going to be our first outreach to this particular orphanage in Anau.
Toată lumea, vă rog frumos, ordonat. Băi, dă-a unul, băi. Ce faci? Comerția, vezi că te trageți în mău.
In this orphanage there are 400 or 500 boys of all ages, and I guess there has to be quite a lot of discipline, but I didn't see a lot of evidence of love or compassion by the staff. There was plenty of food, but I'm not quite so sure that the boys appreciated the taste, and they were quite happy to pass it on to others if they didn't like the look of it. I noticed one of the boys who had lined up had already received a biblical tract on John 3:16. I was later able to discover for myself that in the kitchen things weren't very hygienic at all, and in fact I saw flies on the meat. So I'm not surprised the boys were cautious about the food, and perhaps the taste was really not good at all. This sitting was for the older boys, and the younger boys would be eating at a different time. This was all a new experience for me. I'd never been in an orphanage before, and particularly in such a third world country as Romania. But to meet the younger ones, oh wow, the joy on their faces as we went round to say hello to them was just incredible. But I also noticed a sort of fear in them, because they seemed, to want to laugh and smile, and on the other hand there were children who were a little bit almost afraid. But really good to see some who were absolutely overjoyed by seeing us and getting their presents. But Nan was amazing again here. Look, you could see she's handing out all the toys. The children absolutely loved her, adored her. But they're getting the presents. Oh, look at the faces and everything. I remember sending these pictures, these videos to Sky News way back at the time in 1990. Look at them all just receiving love and attention is something else, but oh, look, bless them. As I said, they absolutely adored Nan. Remember, they knew Nan because Nan had been before to this orphanage.
These children are raised from 6 until about 14. They've never had anything all their lives, so today we have brought them a present, and everyone has had a towel, a face cloth, soap, toothbrush and toothpaste. And also they've had an orange, their first orange, they've never tasted an orange all their lives. And we brought them sweeties, and you can see that they're all boys, and even a soft toy has thrilled them. But we have more toys, and this is what we want to do. It's like Christmas. And it's so hard for the children. It's really wonderful to be here and to see the joy and the love. They lack love. They want to cuddle you, they want to kiss you, they want to be loved, and this is something they never get.
They sing a special song for their special, lovely Nan. Nan is so touched by the boys singing so beautifully for their favourite Nan. God bless them. There was a young boy that had just joined the orphanage, and his name's Edward, and there he is. And he somehow became attached to me. He was sort of in need of, attention. And another boy here that he sort of was a bit wary of me to start with. He just received a present, and I just gave him the thumbs up, as it were, bless him. But he was hiding it because the staff, sadly, were taking their presents away from them, as we discover later on. Just their lovely faces. Look at them. And here they're going to do a song. Hallelujah, praise God. A lot of the people that came with us were from our local church in Arad. So they used to come and sing and minister to the children.
They've never had toothpaste before. This is the first time that they've had their teeth cleaned, and they're so excited. Some of them don't even know what to do with it, and some of these children cannot even reach the tap to watch it. See that little one there? They've never known what toothpaste is. Turn to the camera. Look. He's doing it. Yes, wait a minute. They do not seem to have hot water at all. They see that they get hot water once a week. This is a boys' orphanage. It's in Anau, just in Romania, and there are about 450 boys. And we have brought a present and sweets, oranges for every boy in this place. They are all crowded round, so we have had to put them aside, and we will take all the presents, everything, into that room. The boys will queue up with their teachers, and we will hand out everything that we have for them. All the clothes, all the shoes, all the toys are in that room, and the boys are so excited, and we're excited too. We want to see them receiving all these goods.
The boys were very well behaved, really. I mean, and they were such good fun. And they got on well together. And they chipped in. Oops, sorry about that bang on the head. And another one as well. Oh my goodness. But as they were unloading all the gifts and toys and presents and other practical things that would be useful for the orphanage, they all sort of well behaved. Well behaved. I was impressed. As big as the boys were, they still loved the toys, and the younger ones, bless them, they were so lovely. They were so pleased and they had joy. We're going to get something, we're going to get the prezzies.
Yes, they are.
Just look at the faces as when they receive the presents. Look at that. I love it. I love it. He's not quite so sure. One of the teachers telling the boy, go away and enjoy it. Look at the queue as well. 450 boys all going to get presents. And this isn't Christmas time. This is just a late summer. And here's a special toy that everybody likes, including myself, a football. Yeah! Watch this boy, he can really kick a ball, look. Wow, very impressed. And the boys themselves, quite skillful actually. The kicky uppies, I'm not very good at that. Yeah, they were really good. Bless them. We all need love and attention sometimes. However, there are those that are a little bit concerned about what's happening to the presents.
Domnișoara Aneta a luat 3 pachete, sau când mergem, păcat că nu vine omul ăsta, se duc la copiii mei să-i arăt câți copii se spere de ea.
The teachers, yes, take from the little children and even for them, yes, the soap, and he doesn't know what he do with soap or with the.
Has he spoken to director?
Vorbim, vă ia directorul de aici și ne ducem în cancelar și vă bate că ce căutăm noi pe lângă voi, că ce avem de spus aici așa.
They are taking an infantry, and I have told the director things must stay
here. Nu atâta poate face, măi.
Zâmbet și soare, mugură de viață, aș-i lumine să-i dăm. Ocrotiți pământul, nu lăsa să plângă, copii alăturați lângă voi. Un vis minunat, speranțe și dor s-a împlinit. Pace pentru toți copiii lumii, gândul spre viitor. Pentru toți copiii lumii, în pace, star pe viitor.
Team here that has come from Scotland and England have been many times to Romania, and we know there are many things in the news about Romania since the revolution. Ceausescu probably has a lot to answer for, but it seems as if Romania is about 40 years behind the rest of Europe. This is our third visit, and we are seeing changes. In fact, we're just starting to interact with them now, not just give them gifts of mercy, as it were, but also to be able to make contact, make personal contact, so that we get down to an emotional level with these children. You know, that they don't get touched like we do at home, like, you know, just a normal touch like that, yeah? You know, it's good that humans, you know, interact like this. And so we need to do more of this, and we're hoping to be able to come back, and there are teams coming in that are going to give plenty of support in Bible teaching, teaching of the Word of God, and also being able to just make friends with them.
So after my visit to this orphanage, I say goodbye, and I'm mixed feelings, yeah? Joy, but sad. What will become of these dear boys in the future? May God be with them and help them. Amen.
You know, Howard and I were not the heroes there. We adopted a tiny baby, and that was a lot easier than what some people did. Some people adopted children who were aged 6, 7, 8, and even 9. And once they got them back to the UK, that's almost where the problems began. I was in touch with quite a few over quite a long period of time, and the children were so damaged that they were finding it almost impossible to integrate them into sort of a normal life. Howard and I found it much easier, of course, with Rebecca, because she was just such a tiny baby.
Marinella comes to mind. Corin and Brian, yeah?
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Well, because we shouldn't be giving names and such things.
They're only first names.
Children. But yeah, I mean...
Anyway, they'd adopted a baby or a young child that actually needed a lot of attention, and they knew it as well, so they were very brave to actually do that. So,
exactly, yeah. And I can remember even at one of the boys' schools, there was a couple and they had adopted a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old, and wow, I mean, they were fantastic, this couple, but they found it so hard. And, you know, I often wonder, you know, you kind of lose touch as the years go on, but I do often wonder what became of all of these older children who were just, I mean, children, you know, I remember one family said, you know, he'd never been in a car before, and they were driving through London, and he opened the car door. I mean, you know, I think it was before the days of child locks. And they just said he just decided he was going to get out because he'd seen something. And they're talking sort of 8 and 9-year-old children, yes. And very difficult. But the love they had for those children, you know, the pure love would actually push them to succeed with these kids.
And as we proceed with this, it was about 3 or 4 hours. I've got 30 hours of footage altogether, or video, and we're obviously condensing all of that. But you'll see some amazing encounters and stories that we've got to share, and what it was like out there. But I have to say that God did an amazing thing by allowing us to be there at that time.
So have I got time just to read a couple of emails before we move on?
Yeah.
Okay, so Jane says, it was lovely to see how Luke and Joel were so loving towards baby Rebecca. They were so excited to have a baby sister. They really were. And
they still are.
And they still are. That's right. Really they still are. That's right.
34 years later.
Thomas and Diane, good evening to you. Thank you so much for your compliments. I won't read them all out. It says, great to see and hear about your family. I've learned so much from you and through your work. I feel as if I'm part of your extended family. That might sound weird. It doesn't sound weird at all. No. But it's the best way to explain it. I bet many people feel the same. It's because you gave us the information to be truly saved. Yahweh bless you both and your family and keep you working till the second coming.
Amen.
Amen.
Yeah.
Okay, I've just got one more here from Tracy, and she says, Howden, Lesley, your life story is so inspirational. And that's what we want, you know, to be able to inspire you. Because if we can do these kinds of things, then certainly you can.
Yeah, we're just ordinary people. And, you know, unfortunately, sometimes we don't hear directly from God. It has to be spoken through another man or woman of God. Oh, you're going to do this, do that, and the other. Okay, okay. When you get that as confirmation and you go for it, do it. I want to actually...
Let me just finish this email. Also, Nan, says Tracy, as you said, what she did to show those children love and care. Thank you for all your hard work putting all of this together. God bless you all and everyone at Revelation TV. Thank you, Tracy.
Yeah. One of the things that really inspired Lesley was when she was there, and we were there for a few months, and it was one of the coldest winters by the way. It was minus 25 degrees.
Freezing.
Yeah, but you'll see more of that in the future. But what I wanted to say was that you were visiting the hospital almost on a daily basis. This was before you even came across Rebecca, who was called Andrea Mihaela at that time, and you were looking after those and comforting them because they had been abandoned by their mum and dad. And there was one little girl that was actually we said, well, maybe we'll foster her, not foster her, we'll adopt her. But the parents had to be contacted and they changed their mind and said, no, we're going to keep her. We thought if we could do that to every one of those abandoned babies and provoke the parents who were the real should be the real carers for their children, it would be great. But anyway, have a look at this, and I've called it Abandoned Babies Ward. Many times you visited the maternity hospital just to go and sit and comfort some of the babies there that had been abandoned.
Well, there was a whole room, it was called the abandoned baby room, and there must have been about 15, 16 babies in there at any one time. Apart from feeding them, nobody ever seemed to go in there. I was in my element, Howard. I used to pick them all up one at a time, and I used to sing to them, and I used to pray with them, and I used to rock them, and then I would put them back. I mean, these babies were, you know, some of them were like days old. I mean, so tiny.
The way they used to
swaddle them.
Yeah. Why did they have such tight clothing? Is it just to keep them warm?
I suppose to keep them warm, because they didn't have any clothing, did they?
They didn't have any
clothes
in the hospital either.
No, it was so cold, wasn't it?
Very cold. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was sad to see that so many babies were abandoned.
Little Valentine doesn't have a mummy and a daddy. Yay. And Roxana, also a little girl. She doesn't have a mum or a dad. Oh, don't cry. Oh, baby. Yeah.
Well, Ceausescu had a policy, didn't he, that every family had to have 5 children because it was in order to grow the economy. And then when Ceausescu fell, these babies were still being born, weren't they? And people were having to live up to his command. So although people were having at least 5 children, they weren't keeping them because they couldn't keep them.
Well, they couldn't afford to,
No.
could they? They couldn't feed them. You know, so if they went into an orphanage, that was at least the best that the parents could do.
Yes.
But then in the orphanages, you could see the terrible conditions, and babies soon began to
just rock backwards and forwards.
Why was they rocking? What caused them to rock?
Just to comfort themselves, and yeah,
but even as they
even head banging as well.
But I saw even in the older children, you know, maybe children who are like 8, 9, and 10,
yeah,
they were rocking like this as well. They got into the habit.
Just a sheer neglect,
isn't it? Oh, so sad, so sad.
I've got to say that as I've been putting this together over the last 2 or 3 months, I look what I've been editing, and gosh, I've shed quite a few tears.
It is. I mean, it's absolutely heartbreaking, but as you watch the series, you'll see that the orphanages were dismantled, and they started to form children's homes for sort of 12 children at a time with house parents, almost like the foster care scheme. And we did see when we went back many years later that CBN had a beautiful home that they sponsored for these children, and the children's lives suddenly started to get much, much better once people from the West, from all the sort of wealthy countries, I suppose, is what the Romanians used to say. But once we all started to go in and realise what was happening and start to work to make things right. So that's what we did. Yeah, not personally, we didn't.
Yeah, there's some really lovely stories still to follow, and I say I've probably got another 2 or 3 hours worth, which we will be putting on out on there. Probably in the November time they'll start to be shown, will
We'll start to play this part 1 in its entirety during November, and then it's just as quickly as you're able to put the whole thing together. But I mean, it's been absolutely fantastic going for both of us going back in time. It's something that we've said all of these years. Well, you've said, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And it has taken a long time, but we initially wanted to just do it for our family. But then we thought, well, Revelation TV, you know, you are part of our family. We are the church without walls. And therefore, we wanted to share it with you as well. There's more, in 30 seconds, I've got more emails coming through at last. Cram and Maggie say, this is such a blessing. We're so blessed by what we're seeing. We've heard you talk about this for years. Now we can see we are in tears. Absolutely. And what an eye-opener you've given us. It makes me think I should have done more. So lots and lots of you, I know, will really have benefited this evening from this. So God bless you. Thanks for being a part of The Late Show, and we'll see you soon.